Do you want to find a stress-free way to buy your next car? Start at CarMax and shop your way. If you want to browse with confidence, get pre-qualified online with no impact on your credit score and shop cars within your budget, from luxury cars to family rides. CarMax has options for almost every price range, including more than 25,000 cars priced under $25,000. So hey, want to get started? Just head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.
Hey listeners, this is Peter and welcome back to the History Shorts. Today's episode is brought to you by the Podcast Republic, your ultimate listening app. Discover and subscribe to thousands of podcasts from around the world. Download Podcast Republic today, available on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Today on History Shorts. In the summer of 1856, a man stood before a crowd in Nicaragua and declared himself president of the Republic. He was not from Nicaragua. He had not been elected. He had arrived 14 months earlier with 57 men, a stack of rifles, and a belief, absolute and unshakable, that Central America was his to take. His name was William Walker. He stood 5 feet 2 inches tall. He weighed barely 100 pounds. He had the quiet gray eyes of a scholar and the cold bearing of a man who had never once considered the possibility that he might be wrong. He was 31 years old, and for one brief, surreal, blood-soaked year, he actually ran a country. Our history brief today covers some recent history news. A quick word from our sponsors.
A burst pipe, a dead water heater, the AC calling it quits. Who do you call? HomeServe is an easy way to handle unexpected home repairs, with plans covering stuff basic homeowners insurance usually won't. Instead of scrambling for a contractor, you make one call to get the repair process started. Join the millions of customers who trust HomeServe right now. Go to homeserve.com/podcast for 50% less your first year. That's homeserve.com/podcast. Savings compared to renewal price. Void in Florida.
This day in history. On June 30th, 1908, a massive explosion rocked the remote Tunguska region of Siberia, believed to have been caused by an asteroid or comet fragment exploding in the atmosphere. The blast flattened an estimated 80 million trees across hundreds of square miles, making it the largest impact event in recorded history. On June 30th, 1934, Night of the Long Knives began in Germany as Adolf Hitler ordered a violent purge of political rivals and perceived threats within the Nazi Party. The operation consolidated Hitler's control and accelerated the transformation of Germany into a totalitarian state. Story of the day. 1850s in America were years of explosive, intoxicating ambition. The California gold rush had sent tens of thousands of men charging west in search of fortune. Manifest destiny, the idea that the United States was divinely ordained to expand across the continent, was not just political rhetoric. It was a fever. It shaped careers, drove legislation, and sent young men with nothing to lose into the jungles and deserts of the hemisphere looking for something to conquer. Walker was born in Nashville in 1824 and was by any measure a prodigy. He graduated from the University of Nashville at just 14. He earned a medical degree at 19. He studied law, practiced journalism. He dueled repeatedly and survived every time, which in the 1850s was the kind of resume entry that made people pay attention. By 1853, he was in California, editing a newspaper and growing restless in a way that certain brilliant, driven men grow restless when the world doesn't move fast enough for them. He had lost the woman he loved, a deaf mute named Ellen Martin, who died of cholera in 1849. He never fully recovered from that. What he had not yet tried was conquest. In 1853, Walker mounted his first expedition, an invasion of the Mexican state of Sonora. He led a ragtag force into Baja California. He declared an independent republic, and he named himself president. He was almost immediately chased back across the border by Mexican soldiers and his own collapsing supply lines. He was then tried for conducting an illegal war. The jury acquitted him in 8 minutes. That should have been the end of it, but it was only the beginning. Nicaragua in the mid 1850s was a nation at war with itself. Two political factions, the Legitimists and the Democrats, had been fighting for control of the country for years. In 1854, the Democratic faction made a decision that was either strategically clever or catastrophically reckless, depending on how you look at it. They hired William Walker. He arrived in June of 1855 with 57 men. He called them the Immortals. Within months, Walker had won the Battle of Virgin Bay, captured Granada, the country's cultural capital, and installed a puppet president with himself as commander-in-chief of the Nicaraguan army. And then he did something that his employers had not quite bargained for. He took over. In July of 1856, with formal recognition extended by President Franklin Pierce, Walker declared himself President of Nicaragua. What he did with that power was revealing. He reinstated slavery. Nicaragua had abolished it decades earlier, in a transparent bid to court Southern American support and attract slaveholding settlers. He declared English an official language. He began confiscating land and redistributing it to American colonists. He made no secret of his broader ambition, a confederation of Central American states under American dominance, with Walker obviously at its center. This was manifest destiny, with the mask off, not the romantic vision of settlers moving west across open prairies. This was one man, with mercenaries, rewriting the laws of a sovereign nation to serve an empire he was building in his own head. What undid him was not an army. It was actually a businessman. Cornelius Vanderbilt controlled the Accessory Transit Company, which operated the vital shipping route across Nicaragua, connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Walker had seized Vanderbilt's assets, and that was a mistake. Vanderbilt did not send lawyers. He funded Walker's enemies. The neighboring Central American states, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, had already been alarmed by Walker's ambitions and were moving against him militarily. Vanderbilt sent them money, weapons, and a strategist named Sylvanus Spencer, who helped them recapture the river route that was Walker's lifeline. By spring of 1857, Walker's position had collapsed. Yellow fever had killed more of his men than enemy bullets. He was surrounded. In May of 1857, he surrendered to the United States Navy, rather than to the Central American forces closing in around him. A final act of defiant theater from a man who had never stopped performing. He was returned to the United States. He was celebrated in the American South as a hero, and he gave speeches. He wrote a memoir, he raised money, and he recruited. And then he sailed back. In 1860, Walker landed in Honduras with another band of followers and another plan. He was captured almost immediately. On September 12, 1860, William Walker was executed by firing squad. He was only 36 years old. The History Brief. Today on Some History News, we're headed to Germany, where a routine construction project has uncovered one of the most significant Celtic burials found in the region in decades. And like many great archaeological discoveries, it happened entirely by accident. According to recent reporting, archaeologists investigating land slated for a new solar farm near the town of Bad Camberg in German state of Hesse uncovered what they're calling a princely grave, belonging to a high-ranking Celtic warrior who lived roughly 2,500 years ago. What they found was quite extraordinary. Buried beneath the ground was a lavish Iron Age tomb filled with evidence of wealth, power, and long distance connections. Among the grave goods were solid gold rings, weapons, and imported bronze jug from the area of what is now Italy, and perhaps most remarkably, the remains of a two-wheeled wagon placed beside the deceased. That wagon is what immediately caught archaeologists' attention. Elite wagon burials are among the rarest discoveries associated with Celtic Europe. In fact, only a handful of comparable graves have ever been found, and researchers say none match the quality of the Bad Camberg burial. Unfortunately, the body itself did not survive. No bones or teeth remained after more than 2 millennia underground. But the objects left behind, well, they tell a story. Weapons, including spearheads and a knife, suggest the deceased was likely a male warrior. The gold jewelry indicates elite status, and the imported vessel reveals something even more fascinating, that this Celtic community was connected to trade networks stretching hundreds of miles across Europe and into the Mediterranean world. That's an important reminder because many people still imagine the Celts as very isolated tribal warriors living on fringes of civilization. But this shows that the reality was actually very different. The Celtic world was part of a vast network of trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. Luxury goods traveled across Europe, ideas spread between cultures. Wealthy Celtic elites maintained connections with societies far beyond their own territories. For years, archaeologists suspected that the region around Bad Camberg may have been home to a local Celtic ruling class, but until now, the evidence was largely circumstantial. And this grave changes all of that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today and helping make this little show such a mighty success. If you're enjoying this show and would like to help with its production, you can always donate a few dollars at buymeacoffee.com or become a Patreon member to enjoy these episodes ad-free. Both of those links can be found on our website at www.historyshortspodcast.com. Also, make sure you guys check out our YouTube channel where we have different videos and series that are not part of this main feed. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all again tomorrow.